Hey everyone, Jace from Alphatone Audio back again. And in my last video, I did the intro to the SPS6 and the SPS7 plugs, and I'm going to do an assembly on the SPS6 right now, and in the next video I'm going to do the SPS7. So again, the SPS6, this is for a standard 2-conductor balance type cable, which you can use for audio or TRS MIDI or whatever else you have. And then the SPS7 was for a stereo or insert type application. As you can see, it has the much bigger exit hole with that special oval shaped insert in the middle of the plug, as opposed to this one just has a standard kind of like SPS4, SPS5 style, but it is just a little bit bigger. And it looks like you can actually put a pretty large balanced cable in there. So on this one, I've just got some really standard Mogami 2552 on this, and I've got it stripped back pretty short. And now again, in the last video, I talked about my last go-to were these G&H plugs, which, as I said, a lot of people had trouble with the assembly on. And one of the reasons for that is you just don't have a whole lot of length to work with on the individual conductors before they actually start coming out of the back of the plug, which just kind of makes it, I just think it kind of reduces the life of that cable when you start having these conductors exposed, as opposed to like the outer jacket of the cable exposed, as it should be. So now these are a little bit better, but not too much different. So you're going to end up stripping like not too much off. Probably going to start with no more than like 3/8 of an inch as you strip this cable back. So I would say start with about 3/8 and then take about half that and then strip that off of the two individual conductors. So you're looking at something like this. Once you get to that part, I'm going to go ahead and tin these up. Okay, and once you get those tinned up, I'm going to tin the plug. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to tin this big ground tab. For sure, I'm going to be pretty generous there. You notice, and on this, basically the very large plug on the outside is the ground plug. The solder tab on this side is for the ring. And then you don't have a tab for the tip, you just have this little well here, and that's fine. All I'm going to do is tin that. It's going to fill it up with solder. This is kind of similar to like the Neutrix NPX, like 2 or NPX or NP2X or NP3X plugs. Where you don't really have a tip, you just have, or you don't have a tab, you just have like a little bit more of like a little pocket where the wire is going to go. So once we have that tinned up, that should be good to go. This ground is definitely too long, so I'm going to want to cut that back quite a bit. So once you kind of get everything lined up and you look at it, so this is going to go, obviously I'm using red for the tip here, colors don't matter, and then the clear conductor is going to come up and it's going to just feed in underneath on that tab, just like that, go out the top, and of course the ground is going to go on the big tab at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and tin or trim this ground back now. I already know it's way too long. So I think we're going to end up, and I like to take this time right now, again, prep is everything. I like to take this time right now to kind of make sure that everything's, and I had that backwards, try to make sure that everything is just where it needs to be. So if that's going to go, and I think even that's just a little bit too long overall. And whenever you strip this back, I said, kind of keep it short, but it never hurts to go a little bit long at first because you can always just trim things back a 1/16 of an inch here or there as you need to. So it looks like you just want to make sure that everything's going to line up, which I think in this particular case it will. So this is the order I'm going to do it in. I think I'm going to go ahead and feed that through, and that's going to hold that for me just a little bit. And then I'm going to heat this up, and I'm actually going to solder in the tip. There should be plenty of solder on there already, so I'm just going to heat it up, and that's it. Okay, now everything else should be pretty secure. That's going to hold everything. I have just a little too much sticking out on the top there, so I'm just going to trim that off, and then you can always just use your needle nose pliers, take that little bit of the conductor that's sticking out the top, and just going to flatten that down. And then just a little bit of solder right there. Perfect. And then the last one down here. Again, you can see once I feed that in, the ground's still like a little too long. You just really only want a little bit of overlap. Probably about 1/8 of an inch is all you're going to need. You don't need a lot. Because I'd rather have it just be on the short side than actually get too close and actually have it ground out to my tip. Because that's going to create a problem that you don't want. Then you got to unassemble it, and it's a waste of time and all that. So got my ground. When you're done, it's going to look something like this. Feels solid. Then from there, make sure, don't forget your insulator. Put that on, cable just feeds through all the way up, and then we just screw this on. And then this particular cable, or this particular plug, actually does have the strain release on it. So I'll tighten these two down. And then if you did a good job with the assembly, there's one thing that you can do. So after you tighten those down, okay, everything should be like nice and secure. Okay, what you can always do is you can now back this off and take it off. And you should see in your cable, there's going to be, and I can tell you're probably not going to see it on camera, but you're going to see a divot on either side where the ends of these screws actually dug into the cable. As long as you get a full circle, like meaning like the end of the screw made full contact with the cable, then you're getting the full benefit of the strain relief on that. If it's really close to the edge, then you're not getting as much strain relief as you possibly can, which may not be a big deal. Again, I'm not a huge believer in strain relief on cables for pedal boards. I just don't think they're in as much danger as your standard instrument lead or whatever, but you can do it however you want to do. So again, SPS6, this is great. And again, I use the Mogami 2552 cable for this, but there's definitely room for a larger cable in there if you want to use something different. This is a great plug. I'm glad it finally showed up. This is going to be my go-to plug for TRS MIDI, TRS audio stuff in the future. Great space saver for pedal boards, just nice and compact, great part, and pretty easy to assemble. So I hope this was helpful. If it was helpful for you, please feel free to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.